AfreecaTV ASL Season 6. SBS and AfreecaTV presents ASL Season 6.
Welcome back, everybody, to the ASL. We are coming to you with the third and fourth place match here tonight. It's going to be pretty cool for a couple of reasons. We get a chance to watch the Season 1 ASL champion versus the Season 1 KSL champion. A little bit of a preview for the ASL versus KSL stuff coming up at BlizzCon. I'm Rapid. With me is No Regret. We are back. Tasteless and Artosis are away at BlizzCon, obviously, so if you're not watching the WCS Global Finals with them and everybody else there, definitely fix that. I think you could do that, what is it, like 2 hours after our broadcast? That's a few more than that.
It's pretty late, actually.
But it's on tonight here in Korea, probably
like
at
1 a.m.
Probably at a much better time if you're at other places in the world. But if you're here watching the ASL tonight, then welcome. You're in the right place.
Yeah, you are in the right place. There's no other place to be in all of Korea right now.
Well, I definitely know I'm in the right place, and you're in the right place.
This is the only right place.
And actually, there were several people waiting around. I came in here like an hour early because we had to get hair and makeup and stuff. There were already like 50 people in the waiting room outside waiting to get in. So that was actually pretty sick. Even though this is the third and fourth place match, so neither of these players are going to advance to the finals, you know, it's still kind of cool to see what would have happened. This is like our fantasy ASL, where we find out what would have happened if they had both been able to upset their opponents, essentially.
Yeah, we actually don't see third or fourth place matches very often.
Yeah.
Like, it really doesn't happen that much.
Well, mostly because these guys kill people before they get to the finals, so that's why we have to give some honorable mentions.
They just aren't played much at all. Like, I'm trying to remember of any third, fourth place matches that actually like give a third place winner, not just like third or fourth.
It is a little bit unique, so that will at least be exciting about today. This is what's going to be exciting about tomorrow. This is going to be Effort versus Flash in the ASL Grand Finals. If you aren't watching that, then guaranteed you are messing up.
So sick. Oh,
go watch it. The Korean right above the names actually tells you how to get to the venue. It's going to be at Yonsei University, which is at Sinchon, or Sinchon if you want to just read it that way. So if you are here in South Korea or can get here within 24 hours, do it, because it's going to be an absolutely incredible finals.
Yeah, I'm so excited, especially after watching Effort versus Last. Like, how can you not be excited for Effort versus Flash?
That was one of the craziest best of fives I've ever seen in all of ASL.
And Last looks like such a monster in ZBT in general, like the 4-0 versus Jaedong.
Oh, yeah, incredible. Honestly, I mean, Last probably tonight wishes that Shuttle was playing Zerg because he is just so good at that matchup. I mean, it takes a lot to 4-0 Jaedong, and this is how our players got here to the finals. We did have Last taking out Sharp and then almost taking out Effort. It was so close, and then Effort decided to kind of play a little bit crazy there at the end.
Effort going through some pretty big monsters too. Like Rain is insanely hard to beat. Last is really good, KSL champion. So I mean, like, insane run. Really.
Yeah, both today and tomorrow are just going to be people who could have made it to the finals. Maybe not for Shuttle. Even he sounded a little bit uncertain in his interview yesterday.
The greatest thing was all the people like just saying, "Well, I want to play Flash in the finals," and like just completely skipping over Shuttle.
Yeah, that was so funny. And they asked him about that in the interview. And he's like, "Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna win." I'm like, "Well, you gotta have the PMA, right? Positive mental attitude."
I love how they have the player guesses on like who's gonna win.
Oh, that's my favorite.
You just see like all nine of them are like, "Oh, the Flash is gonna win this one." It's like, well, how do you even argue?
Well, so these are the maps for today. Autobahn, Sylphid, Circuit Breaker, Neo Transistor, and Autobahn again. Neo Transistor was last ban, of course. No Terran wants to play a Protoss on that map. And Sylphid was Shuttle's ban, so that'll be the...
Turns out 2 ramps with like cliffs next to them is not fun.
Yeah, if you ever see a Terran player not ban that, it's some thinking emoji time. This is Last, so you can see he's made quite a bit of money here, but early on he actually struggled to advance. But if you want to rewind to Season 1 of the ASL, where Shuttle was actually the champion, that was a tournament where Last actually eliminated Flash very convincingly.
Interestingly, he has a really low win rate versus Protoss, 40%.
I think that depends on which Protoss you're playing against. And for Last, he's only recently really come into that hardcore high-tier form. Now, if you look at Shuttle, you can also find some interesting stats. 50% versus Terran, but of course that's over all 5 seasons, so he has been just playing in this tournament for quite a while.
Yeah, surprisingly, there's not actually that many games when you consider it's 5 seasons of games, and he's only got like 10-4 against Eric.
I mean, even Shuttle, he did make it to the finals in the first season of ASL, but he has kind of struggled to make it super deep in the tournament. So to see him here in the semifinals and in the 3rd and 4th place match, respectively, is actually really impressive. It just shows that he keeps playing, he keeps practicing, and he's able to make it almost to the finals again.
And despite losing to Flash, you know, like he actually showed some really good games.
Oh yeah, in game 2 specifically, if Flash hadn't just like ninja scouted with his Star Sense, that proxy
Flash
robo.
is just so good.
Yeah, it doesn't get much better than that. So this is going to be really exciting. Autobahn, Sylphid, Circuit Breaker, Neo Transistor, Autobahn again. If we get to set 5, I hope we do.
That would be so sick.
It is.
A 5-set series is so hyped no matter what happens, honestly.
It has the potential to be a very short night or a very long one if maybe Shuttle can maybe get his revenge, his pent-up anger from losing to Flash.
Yeah, and our first map is Autobahn, so...
Yeah, it's a 2-player map, and so that means that if you do want to go for something crazy early on...
Some proxy gates?
All I'm trying to say is we haven't seen a cannon rush yet. If this is the map, then I'd be excited. But for Shuttle, he doesn't quite need to do the utmost against Last like he would against Flash, but it's still a very formidable opponent.
Considering he didn't really bring that out against Flash, I'd be a little bit surprised if he did against Last. I feel like you'd probably want to bring that out against Flash when you know he's so much better.
Yeah.
Even when he knows that he's so much better. It's not even like...
Right.
Let's get into game number 1 and see what Shuttle has to bring out against Last.
Now playing on Autobahn.
These chirps before we get into the games are like the dial-up modem sound for me. I just hear them and I get so nostalgic because it's just such an iconic part.
What's dial-up again?
Oh man, net zero for all of you guys out there. That was a trying time in my life. This is Last, our Terran player, in the bottom top left-hand corner. In the bottom right is our Protoss player, Shuttle. Red versus white. I don't actually see this all that often. I think in KSL they force blue and red, so that's just...
Most games they do. I know in StarCraft 2 they force it too. It's a little weird to see white and red. I don't know if this is this always been like this or what?
I don't think so,
actually,
but
like,
I really
when you
like
look at this, like it's P5, it says it's in white.
Yes.
I have to imagine that this is predetermined then, which is a little bit weird. But
I mean, they do change that sometimes. But yeah, this is the Boros deck of matchups, if you guys get that. The biggest thing to keep an eye on early game is that Shuttle is not going out super early with a probe. He is staying back on his side, and so is Last, not trying to proxy 8-gate his opponent or anything.
Yeah,
like
I mean,
that.
so far nothing insane. Like it could still be a little crazy.
Love StarCraft from China, Chengdu. I actually met these guys yesterday at KSL. Chengdu, China, if you guys recognize that name, is the first place on the planet Earth where people, for the first time, went beyond the game for WCG way back in the day.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
You never watched WCG? Just Google Beyond the Game, and you guys will be on an esports nostalgia trip for sure. It was the theme song to the old WCGs.
What year?
Maybe 2006, I want to say.
You know how old I was in 2006?
It was a long time ago. But
it would have been like 10.
It's one of these catchy esports songs that's like has nothing to do with esports, but what makes you pumped up. It's pretty cool. It's a little piece of esports history, and they're from the hometown of that WCG a long time ago. So always cool to see fans from around the world. But let's keep an eye on what is actually happening here, and the answer to that question is nothing crazy. Everything's basically about a standard.
He's building a barracks, Rapid. What do you think?
Well, more important is the gas, right? I think that we could have seen a gas list expand if Last really wanted to do that, but this is by far a little bit safer because if you are going to have anything crazy coming your way, Vultures can kind of deal with that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll have to see. He's going to have to throw down a factory, but I'm wondering, sometimes we'll see like double factory or something crazy like that.
Yeah, I mean, that is definitely something to do. If you don't get scouted, then maybe you'll have that opportunity. But here comes the probe being sent out to check for things like that.
Yeah, sometimes you can be cheeky with your factory, but I would be surprised to see if you did it.
Well, one thing that if you do against bad players is you'll like proxy it right outside their base, float it over into like some dark spot, hope they don't scout it, and then just build a vulture in their main. That's if you actually think the guy is the worst player in the world. But you only get away with that like once ever.
Guarantee you Last does not think Shuttle's the worst player in the world.
No, for sure. And actually, a lot of people gave Shuttle a lot of flack for his attitude against Flash. But honestly, Shuttle is still one of the best players in the world. I mean, any player in the world up against Flash looks like the worst player in the world.
Is banking quite a bit of gas.
Yeah, he is. I'm guessing that's just for factory or starport. Yeah.
What is that? Double factory. Here we go.
Oh, it is. Wow.
Look at that.
Would you look at that?
Look at that.
So yeah, this is going to be double factory. The denial on the probe scout, I think, was really a big factor in this, because obviously if the pro's in your base and sees 2 factory, then the Protoss player is going to be more than well prepared for
Shuttle
that.
might be a little bit suspicious too, just because he's so adamant about blocking the scout. Also, Last was banking a lot of gas pretty early on. I think this was his plan from a pretty early point in the game. Like, we didn't see him try to take his expansion. It wasn't like a reactionary, like, whoa, I blocked it. Oh, that would have been really nice, actually, if he would have gone in, but I don't think he wants to lose a Dragoon for the scouting.
Well, the bigger thing is just to see that there's no command center.
Yeah, that's a nice scout. He does start on his Nexus anyway. A little bit interesting. He's like, let me check if there's a CC here. And then he's like, well, there isn't one. Better throw down my Nexus.
Yeah, for sure. And this was a gas 2-fact. Sometimes you'll do just like a gasless expo into 2-facts, but it's still going to be a lot to deal with on his side. And to be honest, Shuttle, you know, if you have your different Protoss players. You got Gateway Man, you've got Arbiter Man. For Shuttle, he's definitely Shuttle Man, and his Reaver control looked pretty good against Flash, even though it didn't wind up working out.
Right, and yeah. The funny thing about Flash is you can't really judge something not working out against Flash. It's like how one-sided the game is kind of how you determine how good a player is. If it's not insanely one-sided, then that player is pretty good.
Yeah, but you can't really do that with Flash, right? The best player in the world goes up. I mean, we saw Jadong just destroy his way to the KSL finals, and then Last was just like, okay, no, get out of here. And then Flash, every time he has to play Last, even if it's like online, it just doesn't even look close. So it's really
sorry.
Interesting.
It's double Tech Lab factory, right? This is going to be a lot of tanks, I assume.
I would imagine so, yes. This will be quite a few. And actually, he went for four Marines as well, so this is...
leave that tank at home?
I'm guessing he will probably bring it if he...
He should definitely bring it.
Yeah. If he's going to go for just like a super hardcore push, then yeah, you kind of want to make that as strong as possible.
Well, he's definitely going for a super hardcore push, too. Like,
yes.
We see no command centers. He's got 4 siege tanks here.
We have correctly identified that when you go to factory, you are going to look to put on pressure.
This is so many tanks.
This is.
Like, usually you see vultures being added on to do some like harassment and kind of keep everything away with Widow Mines and stuff. Or Widow Mines, StarCraft 2 talk here. But it's just like mass tanks with like 4 Marine support.
Well, the bigger thing to kind of point out is that Shuttle has no idea this is coming, right? I mean, he did scout that there was no command center being built, but it's not like he's rushing a Reaver or anything.
Oh, yeah.
So that means that when these... And Siege Mode is, you know, churning in the background on that machine shop.
I hope he doesn't think he's going to be taking that.
I'm pretty sure Shuttle just rolls over and dies here.
Well, he's got 6 Dragoons and a Dream.
Yeah, but there's more. There's almost as many tanks as there are Dragoons.
I agree. This is a really bad spot. Oh, he's getting on top 2. He's going to get at least 1 Dragoon immediately.
Shuttle is going to implode. The memory of Shuttle will be erased from the universe here. Like, you say this is a best of 5, but we realistically play 1 game, and then Shuttle has to rethink his career choices, because this is actually just super, super dead. Now, there's a magic world where the probes get pulled, except instead they all died.
Yeah,
so
I mean, you got 4 out, but that's definitely not enough. I don't see how you can possibly break this.
The way that you break this is if you have like a Shuttle Reaver and you can control it well enough. And he did save all of his Dragoons.
Stuck too, but they're stuck in the corner.
Well, the problem also is that there's mines here, and even though there's an observer, that just basically means there's no Reaver. Because if you had rushed to that, maybe there's a way to come back here. Instead, now there's just a lot of blue goo.
Yeah, they're not really trading out for anything here either.
Yep. He was trying to mind drag in there, and honestly, he was pretty close.
Yeah, he got a Marine for it. But
it's just kind of bad when your way to win the fight is to suicide your Dragoons to mind drag instead of actually being able to fight. So the support bay actually just finished building a few seconds ago. So the potential for them to be there to be a Reaver is just kind of non-existent.
He's actually sieging the mineral line from here, by the way.
Well, I mean, that's why if you let a Terran get into that position, it's just so almost impossible to deal with.
I'm a little surprised Shuttle didn't try to scout more. Like, he saw the natural not going down. He saw that he was so adamant about pushing it away.
Yeah.
But he never, like, went back out to double check, confirm the nat, confirm anything pushing out. He just kind of, like, played his own game. Like, it even looked like he was looking to take a 3rd base. Like, he built a pylon at the 3rd.
Yeah, and you actually pointed out, he sees that there's no expansion and then builds his Nexus even still.
It's a little weird.
He checked back, he checked with the probe, it got denied, and Last was just like, okay, well, you can't see what I'm doing, so two-fact instantly. And that's what it looks like. That's about the most one-sided that can possibly look. For Shuttle, I mean, you start to realize his head's in his kind of dejected. Because that just is about the hardest way that you can lose
I don't
in that
mind taking the
situation.
Nexus if he's very adamant about not being cheesed or not being like something crazy coming your way. Like you can take the Nexus, but you have to be like really certain it's not two-fact, which obviously it was. And he didn't even see it until it was at his natural. Like the siege tanks were sieging up, and he's like, oh, it's here.
Yeah, I know. You're supposed to have something out on the map to see that coming, to stop the tanks in their tracks.
독한 하루.
인터뷰는 나중에요. 지금 너무 바빠요.
비지! 슈퍼 비지!
스케줄이 감당이 안 돼요.
오늘만 몇 판째인지 무슨 일이 난 거죠? KT와 갤럭시 노트 9이 만났죠.
4대 인기 게임 스페셜템 받고 게임 데이터까지 무료니까. 게임의 즐거움도 갤럭시 노트 9도 역시 KT.
전투에서 승리하기 위한 조건. 빠른 스피드와 압도적인 퍼포먼스. 그대 준비되었는가? 초고주설로 즐기는 현실 같은 게임 플레이. LG 울트라 기어 게이밍 모니터.
제가 또 이겨 봤던 선수이기 때문에 제 시간으로 만들고 돌아가겠습니다.
항상 기다렸어요. 항상 8년 만이잖아요. 복수하고 싶다는 생각을 했고
ASL Season 6 Finals, October 28th, Yonsei University, May
Welcome back to the ASL. Sorry, I've been casting a lot of StarCraft this week. ASL 3rd and 4th place match here with Shuttle down 0-1. He knows what this feels like because maybe 4 days ago he was in this position against Flash, and so he's maybe downgraded, but only like by 0.1 because last is still just basically so good.
Everyone's used to being down 1-0 against Flash, so it's okay.
that is a kind of a rite of passage for sure.
Yeah.
So I would say that a couple of things surprised at least me, and I think you too, about that first game. The biggest one is kind of the lack of scouting, because that entire time that Shuttle is building his natural expansion, he's thinking, if I get too fact pushed right now, I'm just dead.
The funny thing is, he scouts.
Yeah.
Like, he's aware of what he's scouting. He's scouting to see if the CC's down. And then he builds the Nexus after not scouting the CC.
Yeah. He's like, well, there's a bunker protecting something.
What was he looking for?
So, I'm not sure exactly how far the Dragoon got in. It's entirely possible that maybe it just barely missed it. I don't think that's what happened, but I'm just trying to justify. I'm like when I'm Shuttle's girlfriend and all of my friends are talking about how dumb my boyfriend is. I'm just like, well, yeah, but he's got a good heart. Maybe Shuttle's build had a good heart there, but it didn't have much else. So that's what it looks like when Shuttle dies. You saw his head down a little bit, but he's still got that hat meta going on, long tail included. So maybe he can block out the haters as well as the bright lights above his head.
I actually like the hat. Like,
the hat's cool.
I don't see any players do it.
Whatever this rat tail thing is going on behind it, I don't know what's going on with that.
That's a questionable fashion choice, but the hat's practicality makes sense.
Well, as someone who has made many questionable fashion choices in my life, I identify with Shuttle on a deep personal level here.
Yeah, they should just let you wear whatever you want on a cast.
So we did that one day. I had to cast on Christmas Day with Tasteless, and we got to wear some funny sweaters. It was nice. Reminder, make sure, sorry to cut you off, but we have to tell the people watching, if you're here in the audience, remember to keep your tickets, because after the show we do a raffle where we will call your ticket number, and if it is your ticket number, we'll be giving away some cool prizes up at the front. So just make sure to stay after the show. Usually it's some like cool backpacks and some plushies and stuff. I think for a while we were giving like away some mouse pads, and we had some collector's editions like way back in the day. But you never know, and that's why you should stay after the show and try to win some cool stuff.
Yeah, sounds good.
Also, if you want to say hi to us, we'll be around after the show too. Or if you just want to enjoy some more Brood War, then you can just stay here forever. Oh yeah, we also have portable batteries with the ASL logo on them. I actually want those. So if you win one and don't want it, see me after the show.
Literally nobody is going to see you after the show.
I know, right? Because it's such a cool thing to win. Well, a game would be a cool thing for Shuttle to win. He just
was a sick segue.
Not been able to do that yet.
I've casted a lot with you. That was sick, okay.
I do one thing well. Maybe only one thing, but one thing at least. For Shuttle, you know, he does a few things well. He just never, most of that includes Shuttles and Reavers. But he never got to build a Reaver in that last game because he died too fast, or too quickly even. I hope he survives a little bit longer, but that may not be possible. We're going on to Sylphid, though, and this was actually the map that Shuttle banned, so maybe he doesn't feel as solid on this map, but I hope things go better in Game 2.
Now playing on Sylphid.
All right, usually the cheers kick in around Game 3, but we're getting it done early, just in case that the motivation helps empower our players. Terran player
Shuttle just loses.
You only got so many games to cheer. You got to get it out early. So Shuttle is our Protoss player in the bottom right-hand corner, and last is our orange Terran player in the bottom left. So they're cross spawns on a 3-player map, no regret.
Speaking of colors, last change from red to orange in this game.
Maybe there's a color meta that we don't know about.
It's so weird.
I don't know. I mean, they can do whatever
Shuttle
they want,
stayed white, though. So he's, you know, sticking to his roots. Are you trying to read Korean?
I'm trying to do it, but I'm also very bad at that, so I'm just going to avoid doing that. But for the time being, I'm just hoping that there are some more global signs out there in the audience. If you are capable of making one of those, do it in the break between this game and the next one, and maybe we'll be able to read those. But for the most part, thanks to everybody for coming out today as we highlight all of our cool fan signs and our cool fans as well. Also, we have an actual cool fan here blowing cool air on us right now. So
Yeah.
big thanks to that as well.
I need that as a Canadian.
Make you feel like home. Okay, so what do we got going down? Nothing super cheesy. I was actually really happy that Shuttle tried to go for these gas steal shenanigans against Flash in his semifinal match, and we haven't seen that a couple of times so far in ASL. But it looks like Shuttle is actually just playing super standard back at home. He's not two-gating, he's not proxying, he's not doing anything. And
Yeah, I mean, they're both playing really standard right now. You can't really tell what's going on yet. Oh, although, looks like Lass is skipping the gas.
yes,
Probably going to get a CC.
he is going to go for a gasless expand here. Forward factory, or forward, what is that, barracks. Wow, I remembered what it was called there. Does make a lot of sense. So this is basically kind of the other way that you can expo. Obviously, I think usually you go into two facts and turrets behind this just in case, because there is that risk that you're getting proxy DT.
This is nice for Last. He's getting out the first scout, and going gasless expand. You are a little bit, it's a little risky.
Yeah, you're not going to have
risky.
the tech from the factory to kind of save you in a lot of wacky situations, but
Yeah, I mean, factory units are just really strong defensively. So.
well, okay, factory units. Let's just say the Vulture is a good unit. What's so comical is like the Vulture used to be just like the worst unit. Nobody built them in like the way, way, way early days of StarCraft. Because I guess people just didn't figure out what niche that it served. And then you had players innovate, of course, over the long and illustrious 20-year career of StarCraft. And now they're basically just the best. We joke
That's
that
like every unit, though. They all find their niche eventually.
well, almost all of them. Scouts still,
Oh, maybe in 2030.
gone but not forgotten.
Another 20 years from now. Everyone will be like, why didn't we start making scouts earlier?
Well, because they're about the most overcosted unit in the world. The Scout unit itself is great.
Hey, man.
It just costs like
You were just
100
talking
too
about how
much.
people don't use vultures.
Well, yeah, but I mean, the Vulture is free. You pay 25 minerals for each mine that it lays. Or at least that's the meme. But we're going to see an expo coming down, obviously, from Shuttle and Last at the same time. Well, not the same time. Last's expansion finishes a lot faster because it is just a gasless expo. But he does have the gas now, and he'll be building a factory here in just a second.
So far, I don't think either player has a huge edge over the other. Like, the Nexus is a little bit later for Shuttle, but the tech is a little later for Last. It's like a trade-off.
Well, Shuttle will be very happy that there aren't 5 siege tanks in his natural immediately at this point. But he is still having a difficult time scouting. I imagine he's going to do basically exactly the same build, but this time it'll work out a lot better because the Observer will give him the information and he will have time to react to it this time.
Right. I mean, he does know there's at least a CC at the NAT, right?
Yeah, I
believe he
so,
scouted,
yes.
because I saw the probe go. It would be really weird if he scouts that he's not there. He's like, well, I'm going home. I'm not going to scout anything else.
Well, it's a 3-player map, so even if you don't scout your opponent, you still know where they are. Obviously, you kind of need to know what he's doing. So
yeah, it would be weird for him not to scout. I'm just going to assume that he did, because it would be so weird. Just like, nah, I don't want to scout you. I know where you are. Going home.
Probably a pretty good assumption to make here. So
what's going on here? Starport?
Yes, I believe it. I mean, it's either Starport or checking for a third. One thing that you can do if you're going up against a player that is going to play very passively, you can actually just expand super, super fast. Actually, I think Artosis was talking about a game that somebody told him about. I think it was Nyoken, about where Shuttle is playing against a player who's very passive, and he went triple Nexus before Gateway. So he's just going the most hilariously...
This is a nice scout, by the way.
Yeah, eco build. But it's not that this time around. Last is just getting out there and scouting, and this is his reward. He gets in and sees absolutely everything.
Extremely successful scout. Oh, didn't see that. But
yeah, I don't think he actually saw that.
I think you can assume.
Yeah, you're going to figure it out.
Oh, well, yeah. When you see a robo, like, what else could it be? He's getting observers. That's it.
Well, we might just see a different way of getting to basically the same situation that Last was in last time. And to Shuttle's credit, he will have an earlier scout of this, so he'll have prior information before it hits, and he'll also have Reaver tech out. So both of those things should make this much easier to deal with.
He's also getting the units that he's known for. I mean, he has a shuttle already.
He has built the unit he's named after.
Yeah, this is a much better game, obviously, than the last game. He's actually getting to play.
Well, it's interesting, the ASL he actually won in Season 1. He was trying to call himself Eyewater. which is ironic because he won that and got famous with that as his ID. And now that he is using the ID shuttle, he's having a lot more eye water from losing these games. So I don't know if he might have gotten the wrong timeline there, but...
What is this? Is this like a Nexus rate? What is this?
There's no it.
I don't know what that is. I can't see.
Excuse me?
Like, whatever that is it's
should
really
I
weird.
be
I'm talking about
morally
the bottom middle base?
Yeah,
by the
yeah.
way,
Should I
guys.
be morally offended by this?
Okay, well, the engineer base is the observer bay, right?
Okay, well, I mean, that is a Nexus. In general...
What's going on right now?
In general, you would not put a Nexus there.
Also, I love how
But also,
floating...
there's nothing to stop this Reaver from killing Infinity SCV.
Oh.
Okay, well, we're going to witness a lot of SCVs dying here, theoretically.
Yeah, didn't kill as much as I thought it
So
would.
it killed the turret that was protecting the SCVs.
There's a race, though.
But it's still going to be able to get a decent shot off here.
Yeah, but I think he's going to sacrifice. He's going to lose all of this, right? The Wraith is going to kill the shuttle.
Oh, he could actually just...
Oh, that was really bad for shuttle, guys.
There were like 4 Scarabs that could have ended the game right there.
The engineer bit just uses...
But I guarantee Last sees that and it's just like, what the...
It's just so weird. The engineering bay literally, it's just floating the like scout shuttles and it sees an observatory.
Yeah. So in general, the proxy observatory build is not one that you're used to. It's mostly just there, I guess, for the wall. But okay, man.
This Nexus is so close.
Yes. In fact, I'm not sure if you can siege that from the Terran's main, but it's gonna be pretty
almost
close.
could, yeah.
So the reason, in case you're not sure on this, why Protoss players do not take that base is because in general you want to be as far away from the Terran siege tank push as possible, because you don't have a lot of recourse against this as a Protoss player, because your units straight up lose to Terran units.
He might go for like this kind of base trading thing. It's not a real base trade, but he might be able to cut off the supply to this army.
Yeah, but why is the base there?
Okay. I actually have no idea about that.
Okay, well, regardless, we're about to see Shuttle try to circumvent this and put some pressure onto Last to hopefully take pressure off of his base.
Yeah, it is kind of working. I think he's still going to get the Nexus, but at least some of these tanks are going home.
Just to kill it with Wraiths. Okay, but this is actually dealing a little bit of damage. The problem is that Last is going to sandwich these units and kill them all instantly. So sure, he loses a couple of SCVs, but the Protoss now has no army.
I feel like if this Wraith didn't happen and he still had his shuttle and he still had his like Reaver, this game would be so different.
Yes.
I still think it's weird that he took this Nexus, but it would be so much more defendable.
So it does make a little bit of sense that he sacked that Reaver earlier.
What is he doing it again?
I mean, he's got speed, so it's easier to do because he's just going to drop on top of it and blow up the tank. But now the Wraith has total impunity here,
Yeah,
and
we'll
eventually
see you
it's
in
going
like
to kill
10
it.
minutes, Wraith.
Yeah.
It will kill the Reaver eventually. I think it's taken like 10 shots already.
Okay. I'm so confused by exactly what we're witnessing here. I mean, the Wraith is going to have to run away from the Dragoons because they're coming to save the Reaver. But
I just feel like
base died, so there's
Shuttle,
no third.
If Shuttle just took the third like in front of his natural and like played a totally different game, he'd be in such a better spot. I don't know how to explain this in a way that...
Well, I mean, that's what he's supposed to do,
like
right?
If he didn't lose his shuttle,
as a Protoss,
he's still holding on, kind of, right?
You can say that because he's not dead, but he has no third base. And as a Protoss player, you need to be building bases kind of like a Zerg would in StarCraft 2.
Did he retake that Nexus? He did. He retook the Nexus in the bottom middle.
Okay. You know, this is just like the word, you ever watch the old Batman Beyond TV show? They had a word in that show that they used to mean cool. It was shui. And they really tried super hard to make that work. It just was never going to work. Just like the word rad, just like all those words that Artosis says to try to be cool as a dad, but doesn't work.
He did retake
So
that.
Shuttle is trying just as hard to make this base work. It's just not going to work, and neither is that Reaver. Yes, he did. The Reaver blew up because there's siege tanks sieged to defend that location.
I feel like everything's just falling apart for Shuttle. Even if he does somehow get this Nexus up in the bottom middle, which probably will just get taken out again once Last knows about it, he would still be in a pretty bad spot, and I don't think that Nat is actually going to live very long, that Nexus.
So Shuttle is in a bad spot both figuratively and literally because he has built his base in a very bad spot. Just objectively. So that's going to die pretty soon here.
I really hope that he like wins so we get an interview. I'm like, what's going on?
Well, Shuttle is expanded to the 2 locations that are closest to the Terran player that have gas, with the exception of that 6 o'clock base, which you probably wouldn't see him take anyway. But, you know, he hasn't died yet, so that's a thing. The problem is that now he's being 6-facted, and I think Last can honestly go up to like 9, because it's like 3 factories per base if you're running at full economy. But, I mean, Shuttle is not running at full economy. He's had his base is killed.
Doesn't have his gas at the natural either. He only has 1 gas.
He barely has the natural at his wait. Oh, you mean as natural?
Like his actual natural does not have a gas yet.
Okay. Well, this is just a little bit strange.
It's very strange.
The only reason that base is actually still up is either because Last doesn't think that Shuttle would ever re-expand there, or because he was getting his 3rd base up, and now 4th base.
I mean, this game is being ran away with.
Yes.
In every way it possibly could.
Well, I mean, I keep saying that Shuttle is not dead because technically, yes, he is still alive.
The game is not ended.
What's surprising me is that Last is actually not pushing down there to kill that base, and I'm guessing it is just because he doesn't think it's doing anything right now.
He might not know there's actually a Nexus there. I can't tell if that
maybe this
floating building
is the alpha mind game, where you take the base, he finds it, and then he takes it out, but then you rebuild it, and you're just like, well, there's no way he'll think I'm mining from there again.
It's just so silly, because you could just take the Nexus on the right, and it would just be safe.
Move his army south. You actually look at what Last is doing, right? He's scouting all the other bases, because he's like, well, these are where the Protoss expands, right? Not Shuttle, man.
I think you just throw that out as soon as you see the observatory there, and you're like, well, any logic I have of where they're going to expand, just throw that out the window.
Well, maybe
you should be checking the top left.
You're right, the other closest base. Well, maybe 3rd time's the charm here for the Reaver, except that instead it dies to the same rate that killed the other Shuttle.
This is actually such a sick, like, meta against Shuttle, just to build a Wraith and use it the entire game to stop the Shuttles.
You would imagine that, yes, you will be seeing Shuttles here. I mean, honestly, when Shuttle was playing against Flash, he was actually kind of gateway man. He didn't use a lot of Shuttle play in game 1, I want to say. So maybe that's, you know, would make the Wraith a little bit less effective. But it turns out that when you do Shuttles against, you know, this build, they have a pretty short lifespan.
This base on the bottom middle has been mining for a lot longer than I thought it would, by the way.
It's a secondary mind game. You're just like, it's like when you play against a player that's all-inning you. You hold the all-in and you're like, well, there's no way he's going to all-in me a 23rd time. Basically how you win all your games.
Yeah, that's true.
But this is like the economic version of that, where you're like, well, there's no way he'll take that base again, except he did. So that's a little bit comedic. He's going to scout it right now with these dropships, which were headed to the natural, but instead they're going to drop and kill this base again.
Yeah, and this army is actually just insane.
So there's no Zealots there to protect the Dragoons. They can't stop this push from coming out here. The Siege Tanks will kill every single thing at this base.
If he somehow holds this, he's the next Flash.
Well, there's no way to hold that.
Yeah, it should be nearly impossible.
Well, especially because the push out from Last cuts off reinforcements to that base, which is like the 25th reason. This is like the 13th reason why you should never take that base. So here are finally the Zealots kicking in from the gateways.
Look at how many tanks there are, man.
Yeah, but there's more tanks than there are Protoss units in the game, basically.
Yeah, he's killed at least 3 tanks so far. He did kill a lot of vultures, but I don't think Last actually cares that much about his vultures.
Well, Last cares about as much about his vultures as Shuttle cares about his bases, which is not very much, apparently.
Yeah, we do see Templar now, but I mean, it's kind of too little too late in my opinion.
But that's going to be GG. Wow, okay, a very surprising game there. Turns out eventually when your base that you build right next to the Terran player dies for the 8th time in a row, you lose the game. So Shuttle, he's got some thinking emoji faces going on right now.
I feel like he had a plan in his mind. He goes into this game wanting to execute that plan, and then literally everything that goes wrong, like can go wrong, goes wrong. Everything. He loses his shuttle. Nexus gets scouted by a random engineering bay floating. Like, I don't know what his plan was, but clearly it was not.
It's not even random, because you're scouting for the shuttle coming from that exact direction. That's why you put the engineering bay. So if you put a base right there, you're like,
I agree
well,
with you. But I have to believe that shuttle didn't mean for it to be scouted by an engineering bay.
It's one of those gambles that you take. Not a gamble, just a gamble to say, hey, if I hide something here and it doesn't get scouted, I get a big advantage. He didn't. But then you take it again. And then you take the base that's closer to the Terran player, and you're just like, well.
He built an observatory there, too. Like, I don't know.
My man. All right, well, that's 2 games for Last. And it looks like history is going to repeat itself for Shuttle as he is really struggling against these top-tier Terran players. You know, we were saying this would be a battle between the Season 1 ASL champion and the Season 1 KSL champion, but I think a lot of time has passed since Shuttle was really in his heyday.
Yeah, and KSL is so much more recent.
It is, and for last, he's really hitting his stride. For Shuttle, you know, congratulations for making it to the semifinals, but we'll see if he can come back as we head to a quick commercial break.
ASL Season 6.
끝났습니다. 여러분 뜨거운 박수로 1사 대결의 시작하겠습니다.
리버로 이어갑니다.
네. 리버테크 완성이 됐고 입구 쪽 탱크 3개 나와 있어요.
이용호 선수와 대결을 할 때는 특히나 그런 부분들이 더하잖아요. 내버려 두면 안 된다라는 이런 요소들.
센터 쪽으로 병력 보내고 있고요.
네.
탱크는 계속 나오고 있습니다.
결국 확장으로 이어가기 위한 이게 증거달이라고 볼 수가 있는 건데 의도를 파악한 이후에 이영훈 선수의 선방에 막히게 되면은 뭐 테란의 어떤 확장 기지도 말릴 수 없게 되는 상황이 될 거고 여러 가지로 많은 것이 담겨 있는 첫 번째 견제입니다.
네. 시즈 모드가 돼 있는 상황에서 리버 나와 있고요.
네.
험이 닿아요.
네. 리프 쪽을 한번 두드리면서 뭔가 상대방의 병력이 민감하게 반응하기를 좀 바랬었는데 간에 별 반응이 없으니까 그냥 잼만 툭 던지고 빠져나오죠.
지금은 적당히 저 드라군과 리버를 활용해주면서 상대방의 그런 체제 자체를 자 포급 셔틀을
네.
자 내려서
방어타워에 의존하는 것이 아니라 야,
데미지 들어갔어요.
네, 셔틀의 어떤 그 HP도 많이 빠진 게 아니었었기 때문에 한 번 더 들어가는 이런 시도를 했었는데 자,
대박이야!
마지막 유산 같은 스캐럽이었었는데
이용호 선수는 상대가 캐리어를 뽑는지 안 뽑는지를 이미 스캔을 통해서 지속적으로 확인은 했거든요.
네.
셔틀, 소급 셔틀 리버가 잡히고 게다가 이미 캐리어가 아니라는 것을 알다 보니까 꾸준히 모아놨던 이 탱크로 아주 좋은 위치를 그냥 확 잡아버렸습니다.
그래서 판단을 해야죠. 기본적으로 12시 확장 기지에 자리 잡은 그 테란의 병력을 무리해서 뚫어내는 것이 아니라 오히려 뭐 상대방의 추가 확장이라든가 혹은 앞마당이라든가 이런 지역 쪽으로 영러치를 시도를 해가면서 자 공격을 시도했어요. 상대의 수비를 강요했습니다. 이용호 선수는 커맨드 센터 뛰어버렸죠. 상대의 영러치를 보고
저걸 또 잡아먹을 수도 있거든요. 프로토스는 병력 안쪽으로 빠진 걸 노려서
들어가서 벙커를 무너뜨리고 지금 탱크들이 붙어있거든요.
언덕 위에 어쨌든 그 테란의 탱크가 자리 잡고 있지 않기 때문에 드라군 다스와 더불어서 지금 정면 돌파 이영호 선수도 트리플 지역 쪽으로 이쪽을 수비를 했을 때
여기도 밀어요.
예, 이쪽을 언덕을 끼고 수비를 했을 때 상대가 그리고 주력이 드라군이잖아요. 질럿이 섞여 있는 것도 아니기 때문에 웹서트 하나를 더 깨면서 저 병력이 만약에 뭐 살아서 회군을 한다. 아니면은 계속 꾸준하게 살아나면서 프로토스의 확장 기지를 괴롭힌다. 이렇게 됐을 때는 자원력에서 결국 밀릴 수 있는 그림이 나오고
더 이상 그 희망이 없다라는 판단을 김민중 선수로서는 할 수 있거든요. 그냥 끊어먹기.
네, 중간에서 내려오던 어떤 그 병력을 중간에 만났기 때문에 이 병력이 만약에 합류를 했으면 수비 라인은 더 견고해졌을 겁니다. 근데 중간에 한번 끊어먹었고 이후에 상대방의 어쨌든 그 수비 라인 쪽이 조금 더 얇아진 상황에서 어느 지점을 노리느냐. 어쨌든 웨스터스는 다 날아갔고 상대방의 커맨 센터는 내려와 있어요. 그러면은 지금 있는 병력으로 그냥 돌파해야 된다는 이야기가 되는 거거든요.
물량 계속 짜내가지고 현재 보내고 있습니다. 위에 추가 병력 또 와요.
생각보다 질럿들이 많이 있고요. 자, 추가 병력수를 질럿 기준인데.
네.
자, 탱크가 어떻게 버텨줄까요?
자, 탱크 오른쪽으로.
네, 오른쪽에 질럿 라인이 무너지고 있는데.
네. 추가적으로 지금은 내려오는 병력으로 경기를
또 와요. 6개 또 와요.
네. 자, 아래쪽에서 탱크.
네, 입구까지 동원해서 자기가 밀어내야 되는 김은중 선수거든요.
그렇죠.
벌써 들어가나요?
자, 이분 열렸어요.
네, 이거 벌써 좀 들어왔습니다. 자, 일꾼 자원 추자 9시 완전 돌아가지 않은 상황이거든요.
네.
자원을 갖고 있는 상태에서 이 정도의 피해는 이건 어마어마한 피해거든요.
벌써 4개가 들어갔습니다.
넥서스가 게다가 하이테크로까지.
거의 진짜 기적의 기적이 일어나야 될 만큼의 그냥 시기 모두 다 돼 있어요.
네.
지금
으아!
앞쪽에서 디펜시브 매트릭스 완전히 탱크로 산을 쌓아놓은 이런 그 상황인데.
머리 위로
자, 그래서 사이드스톰 계속 사이드스톰.
빅스톰의 문제는
녹아요.
축발이 아니라는 걸 그냥 즉시 녹일 수가 없어요.
네, 녹았습니다. 녹이러 갔다가 녹았어요.
예, 200 채워서.
이영호 선수의 인구수 지금 167. 그래 상당히 인구수가 0이 됐거든요.
SBS and AfreecaTV presents ASL Season 6.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the ASL third and fourth place match. Rapid here with no regret, and it's been a good day to be a Terran player if you are watching ASL or playing in ASL, because both Flash and Last are kind of having the same experience against Shuttle.
Yeah, is it a good day to be a Terran player when your Terran's just like destroying everybody else?
They're tearing it up, man.
Yeah.
I did the drum beat sound on the desk just for comedic effect. Something
Nobody
has to
cared,
save
though.
that.
Yeah.
Well, something has to save Shuttle here because he's not really trying to, I don't know, save himself.
Shuttle has to save Shuttle. Let's be real.
Well,
here.
that's true. I think Last really has a great read for what to do against Shuttle. He did the aggressive two-pack push, which worked flawlessly because Shuttle didn't scout. And then on the second game, he was able to both find that proxy base, if you want to call it that, and then shut it down very, very quickly. He just played a super solid game after that.
A nice thing, I think he adapted. When he saw the Robo, he just went straight into that Wraith, and the Wraith like paid for itself in gold. Like, it did so much.
Honestly, though, you still have to point out that if that first Reaver that was dropped in the undefended main had gotten those perfect money Scarab shots off, the game absolutely could have gone differently.
It's possible, yeah. I think it's still a little bad for him if he like completely sacrifices it, which he kind of has to with the Wraith. But assuming it kills a lot of SCVs, it would pay for itself at least. But we didn't see it really do anything.
Yeah, it would at least hold Last off at bay a little bit longer. Although that proxy base still has some question marks floating in my mind.
Me too. I don't think anybody doesn't have any question marks right now.
Yeah,
I don't even think Shuttle. I think Shuttle has some question marks going on right now.
You're right. Well, let's get into game 3 and see if Last can close it out.
Now playing on Circuit Breakers.
Oh, I thought we were going to do fan cheers. Whoops. Guess that was last game. We only get one game of those.
Yeah, that's so weird.
So this is Circuit Breakers. It's a gigantic map, super balanced, theoretically.
Why do you think they call it Circuit Breakers?
Well, I'm guessing because they're actual, maybe it's the way that the double ramps make it look. I don't know. I've never actually thought about that. I mean, why do they call it Fighting Spirit? Is there a Fighting Spirit building? No. Is it even a good translation of the Korean word? No.
It's a good thing about some StarCraft 2 maps. They're just black pink. It's a black map.
Yeah, it's a black map
with
with pink assets. Yeah.
Also a K-pop band, correct?
Yes. Very good K-pop band. I think Silgi is one of the members of that band that is very near and dear to my heart in the band. In many appropriate ways. Not sure exactly what's going on. Oh, that's an anagram, I guess. But the sign's upside down, my dude. I don't have to read Korean to know that the sign was upside down. Ooh, I've definitely made that mistake, though.
This is when you cover your face. You're like, oh,
you definitely
gotta drop that sign a little bit.
Well, fan signs are being shown because there's actually nothing else happening in the game. We're not seeing any aggressive like proxy moves, which to me, I would expect to see maybe Shuttle go for one of those. I mean, he at least tried it in his series versus Flash. Game 2, he tried a proxy robo. It got scouted and canceled basically immediately, so maybe that's why he's not doing it.
Yeah.
But I think that, you know, if I were playing here, I would have to do that. Shuttle obviously is much better than I am, but yeah,
No.
just a little bit. He beats
Just
me
a
on
little.
ladder sometimes.
Yeah.
No, that doesn't happen.
Right.
It's going to be a return to game 1 here for Last. He is going for the gas expand, which is going to allow him the potential to have just as strong a factory push.
I don't think we'll see a 2-fact push on this map. I think this map it's probably a lot easier to defend than the last map we saw it on.
Yes.
Like in general, you have to push across these bridges, which makes your push a little bit, you know, it's a lot easier to hold when you have to push through a bridge where the goons can just shoot your stuff on the other side.
Or 2 even. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, traditionally, especially in PvT, you're going to be playing a little bit aggressively once you get your Dragoons out. You can put some pressure on the bunker that's at the natural. Obviously, if this is just last one base in it to victory, then we won't have that situation.
Yeah.
But it should be an expo coming down here
I'd be very surprised if last one bases it on this
after
map.
the factory. This should be an expo coming down here momentarily, but especially because we're only seeing one SCV and gas.
Yeah, he's not banking the gas he banked in the first game, which is a big tell that it was 2-fact.
Mm-hmm.
I bet you he won't be as like crazy about defending the scout too. Like, you know what I mean? Like the first game, he was so adamant about not having him scout. This game, if it gets through, it's not a huge deal. It's just like, well, he's playing pretty standard.
Yeah, and there's always that chance that you just get scouted last. Game 1 was on Autobahn, if I'm not mistaken. And so it's easy to block the scout because you know exactly where it's coming from. This time around, you're not really sure about what that timing is, and there's a lot more like weird stuff you can do because it's a big, dark, scary world out there.
This probe should scout that the CC is going to be taken, or at least scout the SCV there. That would be really big. Yeah. Oh, okay, turns around. So he's still in the dark now.
Yeah, I still denies that scouting information, but like you said, I don't think we're going to see Last kind of react to the same way here in Game 3 as he did in Game number 1.
I really hope Shuttle doesn't like overreact. You know what I mean? Because like the first game, he's pretty much in the same window that he has right now until he scouts the CC. If he, if he can scout the CC, it's totally different. But if he doesn't see the CC, he might overreact.
Yeah, you're right, but that's only if he goes for another scout. And in Game 1, he saw that there was no CC and never checked to make sure that there wasn't
Looks like he's going to use the goon for the scout, which is what he did the first game.
That is true. And so this time he's going to see a command center, and that'll make him feel a little bit happier. But he actually threw down his Nexus before he scouted this, so you know, he was committed to that path.
To be fair, he would have, even if he scouted there was no CC there, he might have taken it.
Yeah, you are correct. That's what he did in Game 1. So I want to see what the direction that Last goes here is, because in Game 2, he was actually pretty content with just trying to play a safer game, get his third base up, and kind of have that happen. But this time around, we are going to see the pretty standard hallmark of PvT, and that is Dragoons hitting a bunker until range finishes up for both of them, and everything looks a little bit more standard.
Yeah, tank just finished here.
Yep, and it should have siege mode here momentarily.
Pretty standard so far. I mean, he's getting shoot back a bit. He's trying to do as much damage as he can. He actually is doing a lot of bunker damage, but obviously this can just be healed up. Yeah,
well, Last is actually kind of... I always try to pull SCVs a lot faster than I really need to, because there's that small chance that they kind of glitch out on each other and they don't make it to the bunker in time, and then it goes down and then you lose the game, and you're just like, oh, well, I should have pulled them a little bit faster. But here's the Academy coming down, and so this actually probably means that Last is going to be going for more of a passive kind of play to get a third base up and play a longer macro style.
I'd like to see another Banshee. I'd like to see another Wraith. I think the Wraith really does pay for itself, especially in these games against Shuttle. We're almost always going to see Shuttle try and do something with the Shuttle. So it always pays for itself, in my opinion. So I guess we'll see. Did he throw down a starport? I know he threw down another building.
Yeah, he was getting an academy when I last saw
No, I mean,
that.
like, he either threw down a second factory or a starport, whatever that is.
Yeah, so he went academy, and then there's a starport on the way here.
Okay, so it is starport?
I believe so, yeah.
So he is going to go into a Wraith again.
Indeed he is.
So, good call, I think.
Yeah, and I believe a second factory coming down at the same time in the main. Still going to go for this early push. This is where you just kind of keep the Protoss player honest. If they've gotten a super fast third base up, you can absolutely come punish them for that. Oh, man. Well,
that's a pretty nice pickoff, actually.
Yeah, that's going to delay the base from coming down. Honestly, you probably don't necessarily want a Nexus at this point. You also don't want to have your Dragoons be pinned up against the wall and start to lose them to the 3 tanks, just kind of free hitting on them. Taking out 2 of them before this push even really hits the natural, it's going to feel really bad.
Unfortunately, I don't think Last can push his advantage. Like, it's not like he can cross this bridge without taking a lot of damage himself, so he's going to just take his advantage and go home. I don't disagree with this at all. I think you push across that bridge, you actually just lose any advantage that you gained, especially seeing how many Dragoons there are out.
Right, and if he had gone for something aggressive like the 2-fact that we saw earlier, then of course you're going to kind of see that be his decision to push across the bridge. So didn't do that, not going to push any further. But you know, the game is going a lot longer, so out of all of the games in this series, and really even the semifinal series that Shuttle played against him,
really wish Shuttle would have scouted. Like, if he would have scouted that starport in the natural, I think he can react differently with his Shuttle. Like, you don't scout a starport, you're way more aggressive with the Shuttle than you should be, right? Like, you go for that mineral line, you get trapped, you lose your Shuttle, the game could potentially just be over there. That stuff always spirals out of control.
Shuttle might have a few ways to figure out that there is a starport. You know, even though he hasn't overtly seen it.
If this observer scouts, that would be really nice for him.
Yeah, he will see it eventually here.
This is why it's built here, by the way. It's to try and deny it from being scouted so quickly.
So what's going to be put inside there? Probably going to run some vultures in the main, and I don't think there's... there is an observer in position to scout this, so at least Shuttle will be able to, find out about the starport. Actually, he hasn't sent the observer deep enough into the natural to see the starport.
Yeah.
So this is the first time he'll find out about this dropship.
Yep. He hasn't... Okay, yeah, he just sent his Dragoons back into the main.
Or he's trying to. Dragoons and ramps. Ugh. Not a great combination.
He's got a nice pylon. Like, he has a lot of vision. It's really good.
Carpet bombing the vultures in here. Will he actually make it to the mineral line in time? He's going to get a couple of probes here, but this is actually a really good defense by Shuttle.
Yeah. I mean, that was really nice. Good vision. Was able to defend that really comfortably.
Yep, and he's got his third base up, so this is already a little bit of a cleaner game for Shuttle. And I'm glad that he is playing it this way, building his Nexus as far away from the Terran player as he could, like we want to see. Those probes almost ran into a mine track, so that was a little bit comical. But they make it to the third base, 3 bases versus 2, and this is a great spot for the Protoss player to be in.
Yeah, I also like last position too. Like, he's starting to establish this, potentially taking this third base. If he can get some goons here, that would be nice. Don't think he will.
Yeah, and there's an observer right on time to pick off those mines. Really important to stop that from inching further out on the map.
Once he gets this third base, though, it's actually so hard to break. Like, coming down this ramp and into all of these tanks is not a fun thing to do. He's even, like, building some blockers here. I don't know if that's a supply, but he's moving the racks, too, to block more. So it's just going to be impossible for Zealots to actually connect with tanks.
Yeah, that's what you would want to do if you were playing aggressively. I don't think that we're going to see that from Shuttle. He should be going into Arbiters here momentarily. Yeah, there it is, Arbiter Tribunal. And I guess I saw the Stargate earlier, so I'm like, well, unless he's going to build some scouts, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I'm just saying that it would be nearly impossible to actually do anything about this third base.
Yes.
Even if he's never going to do it, so.
So this is kind of the phase of the game where Last shores up his position on 3 bases and tries to be annoying. Obviously, there's a pylon wall, so the vultures aren't going to have an easy time breaking through there. But they're going to try, lay some mines around the map, get some vision, and make sure that Last can power up, get those upgrades that he needs, and get into that big upgraded mech army.
Yeah. I'm curious to see. So I'm assuming he's building an Arbiter now.
Yeah, you would imagine so. Obviously, you want to get it out, get the energy up.
Yeah.
So that you can go for things like stasis and recall. I'd imagine that this is going to be a stasis game. I think
I'd like to see a recall game.
Recall games are my favorite, especially when the Terran mines their
Could you
base and the
imagine recalling
Protoss.
on this? Like, he's got like 10 supply depots and all of his tech here. Also, if you can ever recall on top of armories and kill the upgrades, that's like so massive.
Absolutely. A great way to stop that Terran push from coming through. But the upgrades are already starting to hit. We've got +1 finishing up here. I think it was double armory for last, if I'm not mistaken. So
yeah,
that should be
pretty
getting
sure I
him
saw double armory too.
further upgrades in just a moment. More gateways being put up, but they're gateways in the main, right? And as a Protoss player, you want to A, out-expand the Terran player, and B, get some gateways up somewhere else so that when your units pop out, they're in a position to kind of come in and stop or flank a big Terran push if that's what
Also, if for
happens.
whatever reason Last gets into a position where you can kill your main base, the game isn't just over. Like, it's probably pretty bad, but if you have half your production at your other base somewhere else, at least you're still in it. You can still produce units.
Well, I mean, you're talking about producing units. I'm pretty sure Last has as many factories as Shuttle has gateways at this point. I think we're up to 8 or 9. I saw 8, but maybe there's a 9th one somewhere else. So Last is just going to start powering up here. I mean, oh my gosh, this is going to be the time where Shuttle needs to either expand everywhere and just get up an insane economy with great infrastructure, or try to go for something like a recall like we were talking about. And that's exactly why Last is mining his base.
He's mining in multiple ways.
Haha, indeed he is. So that's going to be an almost unbreakable Terran position. Honestly, I don't know what Shuttle has as an option offensively.
I think his only offensive option is the recall, which isn't even a great offensive option in hindsight.
You are correct. So instead, he's going to take kind of the defensive macro option, try to get out there, try to expand, but he's on exactly the same number of bases that the Terran player is. And I think Last might even be thinking about a 5th base coming up here, because I think Last is totally fine playing a longer game here. He's got 2-1 about to kick in.
Yeah, that's the scary time for Terran in general.
Yes, or for Protoss.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's when Terran is scary. That's what I meant to say.
Indeed it is. So this
if we can hit like a really sick stasis, this can go well for Shuttle. Don't get me wrong. But he has to hit a really nice stasis here.
Oh, here it comes. Where is that stasis going to go?
Oh, the EMP stasis.
Oh, no.
That was a huge EMP.
Terrible, I guess, tragedy happening there for Shuttle. He loses his stasis energy on that Arbiter and loses everything else.
Does he have a second? I think he has a second Arbiter.
He has a second Arbiter, but I think it's low on energy. Or not low, but doesn't have enough energy for stasis. So
yeah, he really needs a stasis here. He can't fight this army head on. He might not even be able to do it once the stasis goes off now.
Yeah, that was definitely a Shuttle trying to apply directly to the forehead, but it turns out head-on is not a great way to take on an upgraded Terran army. Plus, 1-1 is just now done. There's nothing to stop these tanks from starting to siege the 3rd base, or 4th base. I guess that is the 3rd base, but nothing to stop it here from Shuttle.
Yeah. I mean, I'd have to imagine if a stasis goes off, this would be a different like conversation, but without any stasis, this is going to be very one-sided.
So I take that back. He actually didn't get a second Arbiter. He only had 1, which is okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, right as I say that,
take that back.
Okay.
Take back that take back.
I did it just to force him to show it to us, to caster curse us, so that we would know. I took one for the team, guys. So I was correct in my initial statement that he did have a second one. Obviously, you would want that just in case you do get EMP'd, but it's still, like I said, is low on energy. So
You know what he needs? Consume. Consume some of those.
Imagine a race that's able to just get as much energy as they want.
Nice Storm.
Funny story. Yeah, Storm actually does hit in a good way, but it's not really going to enable a whole lot. The mines are taken out, so the drag potential is pretty limited. There's a stasis, but it's only on 2 tanks in the back.
Yeah, not the greatest stasis, to be honest.
Nothing here to stop the Science Vessel, though, so the cloaking fields are pretty limited in their effectiveness. The Zealots evaporate as they try to hit the tank line.
These cannons helping out quite a bit, actually.
Yeah, those are actually the MVPs by far of the space defense.
Yeah. He's holding on, but He's like holding on in quotations. You know what I mean?
You are correct in that he has not died yet.
And he's losing his other bases too. If he loses this right side base, he's actually just down like 2 bases to a Terran player.
Yeah, realistically, I think even if Last just held this position, he'd still be way, way, way ahead. He's going to have, he just actually had +2 finish, so he's got 2-1 upgrades.
Oh, that's a
nice stasis. Okay, but there's no Zealots really here to help push in, so the siege tanks are still going to totally melt through Dragoons, and I think this is almost just GG.
I think he knows that too. Even with all these tanks in stasis, he actually still can't defend it. And also he lost his base on the right side, so even if he does defend this base somehow, it's a 3-base Protoss to a 4-base turn.
And that's going to do it. Shuttle taps out. Last repeats the flash effect, 3-0ing Shuttle in the ASL 3rd and 4th place match. 4th place finish in ASL for Shuttle, absolutely not something he should be ashamed of. Very, very good placement in the ASL for him, but a slightly better one for Last, who dominates here tonight.
Yeah, Last being a KSL champion, kind of getting taken out in a little bit of an upset too. So like he's definitely a favorite in this match in general. It's not that surprising that it's a 3-0, to be honest.
I would say that the way in which it was a 3-0 is a little bit surprising, but you're right. I don't think that this surprises anybody to see a strong player like Last come out on top in this matchup.
I think Shuttle came to it with like strategies planned, and it all just like fell apart on him.
Yeah, I think that especially that proxy Nexus was super confusing. I'm not sure exactly what to think about that.
And the first game just ended too early to even know the double fact.
We're
going to head into a quick interview with our 3rd place Victor. So let's head over to Hyung and hear what she has to ask
자, 이렇게
Last.
3대0의 깔끔한 스코어로 이번 시즌을 마무리하게 되셨습니다. 소감부터 여쭤볼게요.
So your play tonight was pretty flawless. You beat your opponent 3-0.
굉장히 좀 아쉬웠는데 그래도 이제 3, 4위전에서 이제 좀 기분 좋게
I had really close matches in the semifinals.
이번 시즌 아무래도
So I
오늘이
wanted to finish the season as
마무리
high as
일정이기
possible.
때문에 이번 시즌에 대한 얘기를 좀 드려봐야 할 것 같아요. 말씀하셨다시피 김정우 선수와의 4강전에서 정말 아쉽게 결승의 문턱에서 좌절했는데 돌이켜본다면 좀 어떤 부분이 아쉬우셨나요?
일단은 아무래도 진 게임 모든
So let's talk about the semifinals. What was what was the most nerve-wracking moment of that semifinals?
트랜지스터도 이제 제가 유리한 상황이었는데
On Transistor,
실수
I was actually ahead of him.
이제 정우 형이 잘해가지고 이제
There were several mistakes that I made,
지게 됐고
but Effort played amazingly.
아쉬웠던 건 이제 마지막에 이제 상황 괜찮았는데 이제
The most disappointing part was the last map for me.
아쉽더라고요.
My situation was actually pretty good,
그때가 이제 제일
but I couldn't really defend against his Zergling rush.
거의 한 번의 실수도
That was the most stressful part for me. So it seems like because of that,
그래도 마무리는 잘 하자는 생각으로 이제
you practiced hard for today. I couldn't find too many mistakes with your play today. Instead, I just wanted to finish the season well, so I prepared really hard. So your 2-fact play in game number 1
그냥 갑자기 떠오르더라고요.
was very
그래서
aggressive.
한번 해봤어요.
How did you decide to do that?
잘 통했던 것 같아요.
그리고 이 두 번째, 세 번째
I just used it spontaneously.
약간의 그 빌드의 차이가
I thought it would work very well against him.
터렛을 조금 일찍 올렸지 않습니까?
And in the second and third set,
리버를 사용했는데
you built turrets kind of early,
하고 준비했던 빌드인가요?
and he used Reaver.
아무래도 이제 정찰로 이제 로보틱스를 보다
Did you
보니까
expect him to use a Reaver there?
베이스로 이제 셔틀을 막으면 되게
Said,
편하더라고요.
yeah, when I scouted his base, I saw that he was going to do that.
그게 잘 적중한 것 같아요.
세 번째
So I built a starport.
터렛을 굉장히 늦게 올리셨어요.
And built a Wraith that was good against the strategy.
리버 안 가는 걸 봐가지고 이제 그 자원으로.
So in the last match, you actually got turrets quite late.
정말 친절히 알려주시네요.
So when I scouted his base, I knew that his shuttle was kind of late. So I knew that I didn't need turrets that quickly.
얼마나 진지하게 임했는지를 경기를 통해서 좀 확인해 볼 수 있었습니다. 언제나 좀 우승 후보로 거론되는
So we could see that you were really serious about tonight's games.
그래도 팬들은 이번 시즌 김성현 선수의 경기력을 보고 다음 시즌을 더 많이 기대할 것
Do you have any
같습니다.
regrets about this season? Is that why you prepared so hard?
이번 시즌은 비록 이제 3위에 그쳤지만
Oh, I guess that wasn't a question; it was a statement. So, do you have any statement for your fans after tonight's games? He says, "Yeah, I finished 3rd place, but I don't think that's a bad result. I think that's still really good."
네, 다음 시즌에 김성현 선수의 더욱더 발전된 모습 기대하도록
But I'm
하겠습니다.
definitely going to
다시 한번
keep
축하드립니다.
trying and show a better performance for next season. So once again, congratulations to Last for his victory there. That is going to do it for the interview. It's cool to hear that he did still practice super hard, even though he had already been eliminated from the finals.
I think you could see in his play too. Like he definitely played shuttle, not like a Protoss.
Definitely. It played very well to his specific strategies. Especially interesting to hear in game number 1 that he just kind of spontaneously decided to go for that 2-back. After he denied scouting, it's like, well, hey, let's go for it. And it worked basically to perfection.
Yeah, I think it was the best map to do it on, considering our lineup. Like Sylphid, maybe. Circuit Breakers, definitely not. So, in general, I think it would be a good map to do 2-fact.
Yeah, maybe Transistor, but I mean, that's never a map you're going to want to play on as a Terran versus Protoss. So Autobahn was, basically the best opportunity there. This is information about our finals, this time in English. So if you are looking to come to the grand finals, hopefully you have already bought your tickets because they sold out in less than an hour. I think it's less than 30 minutes when they were first released. Basically, everybody wanted to be here because this is going to be the most electrifying moment in Brood War history in just basically forever. Because this is a rematch of about 8 years ago when Effort faced Flash in the Korean Air OSL finals.
Such a legendary.
It was a legendary moment because Flash was basically at his peak and Effort was realistically the only player that could stand in his way.
And they had planes.
It was the most epic finals I have ever seen for any tournament. It was held in an airplane hangar and Effort played his heart out. Go back and watch that in preparation for tomorrow's games. They will start at 3 p.m. At Yonsei University main auditorium. You can get there a couple of different ways. The most popular way is what you see there, line number 2. It's the biggest or most popular line in central Seoul, and it's the best way to get to Shincheon Station. You take exit number 2, and it walks you straight there. Been there many times. It's actually super close to kind of where I hang out most of the time, so know that area very well.
I don't hang out anywhere.
Well, you can hang out there with me tomorrow.
All right, buddy. Well, yeah, we kind of have to.
Well, yes, we do. So I do hope that we see you tomorrow for the ASL Grand Finals. It's going to be an absolutely incredible match. You should also stick around after tonight's broadcast because the WCS Global Finals are going on as well. If you're into StarCraft 2, that'll be being broadcast. And if you're into StarCraft 1, there's actually more StarCraft 1 after the ASL Finals at BlizzCon because the guy you saw play today or tonight so well Last will be taking on the ASL Season 5 champion Rain there in an exhibition match. So you can look forward to that coming up at BlizzCon too.
That's going to be a sick match.
I mean, really just any StarCraft game that you watch from now until like a week and a half from now is going to be incredibly awesome to watch. So
yeah.
I can't wait for the finals tomorrow, though.
The finals is so hype.
That is by far going to be a historic moment in esports. So, if you've never watched on AfreecaTV or YouTube or you've never watched ASL before, you have to tune into this. And honestly,
if they're tuning in now, I have to imagine that they're just going to miss the finals, right?
Well, you're probably not going to be there in person.
Okay.
But that's the thing is like a lot of the people watching right now are super hardcore, die-hard Brood War fans. And you know how cool this finals is going to be tomorrow. So you have a moral obligation to go tell your friends to watch this, explain to them how cool it's going to be, and invite them to see it tomorrow. So that's going to do it for tonight's broadcast. We hope to see you for the ASL